I had this mindset where if I'm at university and if I don't make friends, so be it. It's okay. That's not the end of the world. But I ended up being myself, which I was at first, but struggling. I was like, oh, what if I just like stay quiet? People might not think that I can speak English. Sorry to say that.
My God, really?
Yeah, because I feel like, cause I'll tell you why, Ivan. It's because when I'm talking to people, especially over the phone, they say, oh, you don't sound, you look, if that makes sense. Like, you don't sound, I'm like, is that racist?
It is very racist. Oh, but we laugh about it, but
I laugh about it. I don't
I
take
don't want
things
to.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And I'm very, very pleased to finally have someone from different ethnicity. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I have too many Chinese, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay. So am I like the first sort of ethnic from a different sort of background?
Yes, I feel really awful to say that, but because I wanted to have a good representations of people from different background. And so I felt really honored that you trusted me and being part of this journey with me. Most importantly, what I really want to let people know, despite how we look, how we dress, what we believe, we are essentially the same.
Yes.
And
All
also,
human. All
yeah,
human.
all human. And I also want to say it from my own words, like Muslims religions is the ones of the most beautiful religions in the world. Unfortunately, the political environment put a taint on what truly is about Muslim religions. Because I'm from Malaysia, I know how humble, peaceful people are actually. And so I just want to say out loud and honoring you and your religions and also who you are. But so I'm going to stop talking now.
Thank you.
So I usually let my guests introduce themselves.
Sure. See, I always struggle to introduce myself, but I'm just gonna say what comes to my mind. Fahima Muse. I'm from Somalia. I came to New Zealand in 1998 with my family. So I'm from a family of 9. When I came to New Zealand, it was my mom, dad, my older brother, 2 of my younger sisters, and myself. And the rest of my siblings were all born here in New Zealand, in Auckland. So I would say 1998 till now? 28 years, I
Yeah,
think. Yep.
my mathematics is really bad, to be honest.
My math, yeah, it's okay. Let's just say 27, 28.
So you're right, 28. I do a quick calculate. You're correct, 28.
Okay. I was like, am I calculating it right? Okay, 28 years. So I've been here ever since in Auckland. I'm an occupational therapist. I did study nursing straight after high school. I pretty much just shade my age, didn't I? I was like, because straight after high school, I did nursing and then it wasn't for me. So I just switched into occupational therapist in AUT and I graduated 2017. So ever since 2018 till now, I've been working as an occupational therapist in Auckland, which I'm absolutely loving it. I love helping people. So I've worked in the public sector, I've worked in the private sector. Yeah, no, that's pretty much my work at the moment.
I'm curious,
Mhm.
what made you decide to study nursing? It's kind of like helping another person. Nursing is not an easy job, to be honest.
No,
OT is not either.
yeah.
But what drives you to decide you want to contribute and help other people?
I've always had a passion of helping people. I've always had that in me. Maybe it's the older daughter, um, in me that's sort of like love taking care of people. I've always wanted to be part of a work field where you're helping people. I don't know what it was. I wasn't even thinking about nursing at first. I just wanted to be part of a role where I could help people, give back to the community, make a difference as well. So I was 18. I was like, I would study nursing. And then when I did study nursing, I was like, this is probably not for me. I mean, I think it was because of the night shift, the whole like the rotation of shifts, the whole like long hours of working. Sometimes you're not only working 8 hours, it could be more as well on the weekend. I'm just like, it's just too exhausting. Nursing, they're amazing. What they do, don't get me wrong, amazing. Nurses are absolutely amazing. But I just felt like it wasn't for me. It wasn't my calling. And then what actually drew me to occupational therapy was when I was in the hospital visiting a family member, and then I just saw an occupational therapist coming to the ward, and it was an Auckland hospital. Mind you, the uniform that they wear is green in the hospital. The cleaners in the hospital do wear green as well.
Yes, I was going to say, yes.
So like uniform and the cleaners wear green and occupational therapists wear green. I was like, oh, what do you do? And she's like, oh, I'm an occupational therapist. I was like, oh, tell me a bit more about what you do. She goes, oh, I'm an inpatient rehab occupational therapist to help people sort of get back into the normal life and normal routine. Because occupational therapy is very holistic focused, where I felt like nursing was more just like the diagnosis, just taking care of fixing it. Not fixing it, but still like, you know,
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
where occupational therapy is very holistic focused, and I was like, wow, I'm very much interested. Where did you study? And she said, oh, it's AUT North Shore. And I said, could you tell me a bit more about like in terms of like how many years is the exams? Because I don't do well in exams. I do like I rather do like presentation. And she was like, you're in the right department because occupational therapy normally, I'm not sure now, but when I studied, there was no exams.
Yeah.
It was just like placements and presentation. I was like, that's exactly my cup of tea.
Awesome. I'm not great at exam as well, so I know exactly some people just not good at, like, I'm not good at retaining specific information.
Especially sitting down for like
Yeah.
2 or 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me
No.
wrong. Obviously, exams is essential in terms of like universities, but I was never a fan. I was like, I'd rather
Same.
just do placement. Give me assignments. Give me as many assignments as you can. I'll stand up and talk. I don't mind presentations. But exams, no. No.
I like the fact that even in the early placements during nursing, you know the lifestyle of nursing is not for you. I think that is so important because you're right. You work on weekend, sometimes shifts back to back, you
Exactly.
know.
Short
And I
staff.
think, and coming from a collective culture, I kind of know where you're coming from because we gravitated toward family orientation means that you're going to sacrifice a lot, not being able to being with your family, to be
Yeah,
honest.
definitely. Where I feel like as occupational therapist, it's a very I love the shift itself because it's like you're working from Monday to Friday. There's no weekend.
Yes.
It's a static
Yeah.
shift. You sort of can choose the hours depending on what sector you're working in, and it's like
Yes.
there's no night shift. So I'm like,
Yeah. That's wonderful.
brilliant.
When you first came to New Zealand, that was 1998.
Yes.
At that time, New Zealand was still just opening kind of to, like immigrations and all that. So you would be presenting as a minority at school. Would I correctly
Yep.
assume? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So I
Yeah.
came when I was about 5. I was about 5 years old. I was like 4. 4. I think I was 4:25 when I arrived in New Zealand. But I kid you not, I don't remember a thing in that age. I don't remember anything. Whereas my older brother and like other siblings, my younger ones, I think they sort of no, actually, my younger sister was 1, so she doesn't remember anything. But my brother, who was a year older than me, I think he did remember some things. But for me, like I don't remember anything when I was 5. But I do remember obviously I did primary, I did intermediate, high school, university all here. So I did start primary,
Yes. Yeah.
but I don't remember primary. Like I remember little bits of me, small memories from being in primary and intermediate, but not as much as like, "Oh, could you tell me a bit more about when you were this certain age? What were you experiencing?" Honestly, I could not tell you.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was your, because like I really want to reflect back
Mm.
on, we met through someone's I would say like a community leader, which I heard so much about you because of the good work that you've been doing with the community. So if people don't know, like you have helped many other people even during COVID-19. And that's how I heard about you from a
Mhm.
community leader about your championships advocating for the communities. And I really respect that. And meeting you just few weeks back, it also just gave me such a great admire and respect of what you really want to achieve. And I'm a true believer as people understand what suffering is because they have gone through some challenges themselves. Like myself, I'm talking about. So I don't know whether during the time at primary school, secondary school, and being refugee background, have it created any challenges growing up? And even I know quite often you became the go-between person to negotiate a lot of space and
Mhm.
also helping parents and family.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I was quite young, like I'll probably say when I was like an intermediate. Do you know when you're trying to find your circle of friends at that age, trying to fit in? Because obviously being a refugee background, you're dressed differently. You look differently. So it's like even I felt like obviously yes, I was treated differently in intermediate and high school, but mainly intermediate. But I think in that younger age, you just want to be around people. You want to fit in, and you don't really consider people that are picking on you being you being bullied in that age. So like I didn't really talk to anybody about that. I didn't really tell anyone that hey, there's certain people in the schools who have been picking on me, have been pushing me around. I guess what I did was, and I didn't know that you could talk to teachers at that age. I was a shy student, a very shy student. So I kept to myself. So every time I see kids in the background like playing around, I would probably be in the corner, or I'd be like in the classroom staying behind. Like I didn't really get that reassurance from teachers coming up to me saying, "Hey, you okay?" Nor did I get in my peers coming in, saying, "This is literally intermediate. This is intermediate." So I was probably the only African girl in my class that I can think of. I remember, sorry. And yeah, I just felt like I was not in this. I didn't feel. I wouldn't say comfortable, but I just didn't feel at place with my peers. I felt like I was out of place. Like I was there, but was I don't think I was present, if that makes sense.
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what to do. I was just a kid. I just like played around with kids, but I was like, I was probably treated differently, but I didn't think I was being treated differently. Like everyone else was like that, not being left out, not being chosen in sports, things like that. I was like, oh, this is probably a normal feeling for a lot of little kids in that age. Plus, I was like the oldest, girl in my family, so I didn't really talk to anyone that's a girl, that's high up than me. But, right? Is this wrong? So yeah, I probably didn't have that much support in terms of school teachers and things like that. So I didn't know from right to wrong in that age. Yeah,
Because I hear you because there is nothing to compare with.
exactly.
So that for you still is a normal, but like probably until now you are grown as an adult, you can reflect back and really realize what's going on. But at the
Exactly.
time, you just there.
Hmm.
You
You're
don't know
present.
what's going on. You're
Yep.
present, yeah.
Mm. Yep. Yep.
And that's the whole reason why I think talking to you is so important, like because I really want to highlight the challenge of when kids not in a dominant culture where they don't even have the right articulation to verbalize what they're going through.
That's it. Exactly. Yeah. I think it's as I was a very quiet student as well. I struggled to, talk about my feelings, share what was on my mind, what was going on. I just kept to myself. And obviously, when teachers see that, they think there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that is another challenge is like, I know school teachers are wonderful. I'm not criticizing them. However, I do feel like a lack of culture competency of
Mm.
understanding. Again, we are not in a dominant culture. The kids somehow have to pick out that negotiation role themselves within what they experience in school and what they experience at home. Would you say you also experience something similar?
At home?
Yeah, I mean, like you see different cultural values being instilled in two different
Oh,
environments.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Because this is how I feel in my head. I think ever since I was quite young as well, it's like I've got one foot in my country and I've got one foot in New Zealand. So it's trying to juggle the both cultural differences, trying to juggle both, both differences. And it's like, yes, you don't want to lose your culture, but you also want to sort of like be respectful towards others as well. So it's like, where do you draw the line?
it's hard, isn't it? I mean, like how do you learn to do that? There's no textbook.
Nothing. There's nothing. It's just lived experience. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. But that's also say about why you're able to be who you are. It's not easy. I don't want people to think the journey is easy.
No, it's definitely been hard. I'm not gonna lie, but I think I've mentioned to you before when we met. I think what kept me going was definitely my faith, and obviously the support I had around my family as well. And your environment plays a huge role in your life. So if you don't have the right support system, I think will be. I can't imagine everyone's life is different because you never know. You can be walking past someone, whether that's on the street, whether that's in the supermarket, they're going through a lot, but you don't know. You have no idea. Maybe a simple smile might help for the day, but you have no idea what someone's going through.
I went back to the restaurant we went to
Oh,
the
did you?
takeaway. Yeah, I love the chicken.
That's
So that
amazing.
That was yesterday, and the guy served me behind the counter. And it's genuinely lovely, but I also felt like, there's so many people working behind the counter usually don't feel like they're being seen.
Exactly.
So I make an attempt to really let him know he's being seen.
So good. Oh, that's so nice of you.
Yeah. No, in the end, he had this genuine smile. I didn't even say anything. I just look at him to like really thanking him. And then
Yeah.
in the end, he gave me this beautiful smile. It's
Oh,
like,
you probably made
like,
his night.
no, I felt that's who we are. We forget we're just human being in nature. Like what you just say.
Yeah, because like life can be just so busy, and we get it. People are just on the go all the time. But I've made a commitment to myself this year. Now that you made the point, to compliment strangers. Like it doesn't matter if I'm going to buy something in the supermarket. If I see someone with nice hair, nice nails, someone wearing something nice, I'm always like, it's out of my comfort zone. I'm not gonna lie, but I've made a commitment to myself this year to compliment at least one stranger.
Oh, no, I think that's beautiful. I hear you saying because my ex, he's quite chatty person and he'll check to anyone behind the counter, which I like the most.
Hmm.
Like so make them feel like they're being seen. So I learn it from him as well. I purposely like it's out of my comfort zone too. So
Yeah,
I
just
know
like
what you say.
complimenting people. Yeah, I guess it's definitely, yeah, definitely out of my comfort zone. But I'm like, if it's gonna make someone's day, I, I'll continue doing it.
Can I ask you, like during the university time, because it sounds like you have to figure out a lot of things along your journey,
Yeah,
growing up, school, even university. What would you say are some of the bigger challenges that you face when you were at the university?
biggest. I'll probably say I wouldn't say peers. I wouldn't say that because I felt like I was very content with myself. I had this mindset where if I'm at university and if I don't make friends, so be it. It's okay. That's not the end of the world. But I ended up being myself, which I was at first but struggling. I was like, oh, what if I just like stay quiet? People might not think that I can speak English. Sorry to say that.
My God, really?
Because I feel like, cause I'll tell you why, Ivan. It's because when I'm talking to people, especially over the phone, they say, oh, you don't sound, look, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
you don't sound, I'm like, is that racist?
It is very racist. Oh, but we laugh about it, but
I laugh about it. I don't
I
take
know what
things
you
serious.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, I was like, university, I'll just be myself. I'll speak up. But I think one thing I struggled in university was trying to sit in the. You know when you see it in the lectures,
Mm.
you know that notice that people sit in the front, in the middle, and the back.
Yes.
I'm always like in the middle, towards the backish. Like I'll probably say more towards the middle and not in the front. And I think I struggled with having that confidence to sit in the front of the class because I'm like, if I make eye contact with the lecturer, they will ask me a question, and I'll be like, oh, looking down, like I don't know what I'm doing. I probably don't know the answer now, but let me find out, and I'll probably, But I think it was just that fear of sitting in the front of the lecturer being pointed at because I'll probably say there was one other African girl with me that was wearing a scarf as well. But I think when you're in university, no one actually does care what you wear. One's just like quite chilled in terms of like dress code in university. But I think it was just me. I feel like for me personally, it's just I procrastinate. It's just I think that's probably my weakness as I procrastinate. I'm an overthinker. Yeah. Sometimes it can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing, but it's like I just had all these, oh, what if I don't have, For me, mainly it was like, oh, I really wanted to get this degree. The first degree didn't work for me. I think my challenge was thinking, oh my God, will this degree be the second one that I don't like? And it's like, especially coming from a African, like a refugee background and, your parents coming to New Zealand, making sure that you get a proper education, a good future, I obviously want to make them proud. And I was like, oh my God, I think that was my sort of challenge was like, will this degree, will I be happy with this degree? Yeah, I think
You
that was.
must be very proud of yourself when you
Oh my
finish it.
goodness. Kid you not, I was like, in the end of my degree, I felt like I could breathe. You know, when you're, the only way I can explain this is like, when your head's above the water, I felt like I was in there throughout the whole degree. And then towards the end of my third year, I was like, I can breathe again. I can breathe again. Like that sleepless nights. My parents saw how dedicated I was in terms of studying. I can't remember the last time I was in university I had a proper sleep. I was not sleeping properly. I probably had like 3, 4 hours of sleep. just studying for, just making sure my assignments were all fine, were all good. I was like stressing over if this is my second degree and I'm not happy with it, that's just a waste. It's expensive now, like especially with the student loan, and I don't want to get in like in debt with so many student loans. And I was like, oh, how am I going to pay off all these debts if I continually just changing degrees?
I have a questions like why there was so much weight on you. I can understand, like everybody have that really want to success or like succeeded in, but it sounds like there's extra weight on that to you.
Yeah, because I'm the oldest and my oldest girl in my family, so I want to set the example for my young ones. That's why, because I feel like my parents have sacrificed a lot for us to be here, and I wanted to make them proud. So I was like, we're here for a reason, and I want them to help out, obviously around the house and like having a degree, having a stable job was my goal.
Wow.
My goal, and
Yeah.
I was like, obviously, I was looking back and I'm like, wow, I've put myself in a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure, unnecessary pressure. I wish somebody told me, just breathe, you'll be fine.
Do you feel that also came from your parents at all?
Yeah, my parents were always telling me like, just you'll be fine. Whatever happens, you'll be fine. And like I said, I think it was me. I was my own. Not I want to say problem, but I was like my own. Like I was in my thoughts a lot. I was going, oh yes, it's nice hearing this from my family, from my parents, but it's like I'm going through it though. It's like, but I'm putting pressure on myself. But I didn't realize I was putting that much pressure on myself.
So one of the guests who is migrants, Chinese, she said that she read the article and say, children who came to New Zealand, it's almost like unconsciously sign a contract that they will
Yes.
have to be success.
Yep.
So that's a lie exactly what she was saying. Is like even though the pressure might not from family directly, but you don't want to let your family down.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like they sacrificed a lot to come here,
Yeah.
and like you wanna be that role model for your siblings.
Yeah. You
And
sounds like a wonderful sister though.
oh, thank you, thank you. I try my. I still feel like I need to do more. But I feel like I should still give myself grace for what I've done.
You are, and you have been.
Yeah,
From
thank
what
you.
I hear from people and from communities, and that's why I want to talk about something different, which
Yeah.
is something that like a future aspirations that you want to help other people, especially with female who's from Muslim background or refugees
Yeah.
background. Is what drive you to want to help and support them?
Because we had a female, which is my cousin, like she was like the lead to go-to person in the community. This was like 8 years ago. It's quite a long time ago. So she was really the go-to person. And I've always wanted to be that lead person for youth one day.
Mm.
And I feel like till now, I feel like obviously I've done a lot behind closed doors that I haven't really shared with a lot of people in terms of the community work I've been doing. Um, Obviously outside of Auckland and like inside of Auckland, but I still feel like there's so much more that needs to be done. I guess my goal is to pass that on to younger future leaders. Like I don't want to be that gap where I felt like I had that. Like as soon as my cousin left, because she was like the go-to person, there was this huge gap in the community where like, who do you go to? There's not much youth leaders that could be the go-to person for young youths. There was no like mentors. There was no leadership when it comes to young ones. So it's like, I want to be able to restart that, which I obviously have been doing, but I want to continue doing. Hey, yeah, have more youth have them to sort of follow my lead. I want them to be able to have like a safe space for them to kind of, go to in the community. Because I feel like I can talk for hours when it comes to issues that youth are facing.
Carry on, please.
How much time you got?
All the time we have absolutely.
I guess, yeah, obviously the huge thing for youth is like, fitting in, trying to fit in, especially at university, not university, but just even at high school, university. Because straight after high school and university, I feel like there's this gap in terms of career-wise focus. They don't know what to do. I'm not downplaying the careers at the high school, but maybe I am. Maybe I'm giving them a little shade, just a little shade. Because I guess I wish they could be that a lot could. I wish there's you know, I wish more could be done during high school where kids go to careers and asked them exactly, you know, what's out there. Because I kid you not, when I went to Avondale College, and I got advice from the career lady. I can't remember her name, sorry. But she basically said to me, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do something within the health field. I was probably like 16, 17. I didn't know occupational therapy. I didn't know the only probably I had no degrees. Top of my head was nursing, doctor, you know, basic midwife. She said to me, she goes, oh, why don't you try healthcare assistant? And I said, what is that? Because back then, now I know what it is. Back then, I had no idea what that was. And she's like, oh, just, you know, start there. Why don't you start a degree, like a foundation degree, and then do a health standard degree? It's like she was telling me what I should study. And she didn't really explain properly what HCA was, what healthcare assistant was, because she didn't really, what does that even mean? But then in my head, I'm thinking, I was so focused on the healthcare assistant, I didn't realize at that moment what she was doing.
I hear you.
Yeah.
That is shocking.
Very. And
Yeah.
I probably wasn't the only one. I think there were a few other refugee students that were felt the same, well, told the same thing. But that teacher, I think she's gone now. But yeah, I was like, that wasn't very helpful because you're there to give us resources. It'd be good to know what's out there because I didn't know what to do straight after high school. All I knew was I wanted to do something that's to do with helping people. That's all I knew. But I didn't know what degree to take. So there's no guidance for the person who I thought would guide us.
Not just that, it's also kind of
A bit rude.
Yeah, I don't even know. I trying to find the right word to use. I can't even find it. It's rude and it's patronizing as well.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, almost immediately put people into a category instead of like what you say. These are the options in the health field, and
Exactly.
it can be from this to this, and these are the variety.
Yeah. Even a booklet. Like even if she didn't know much information about what's out there, at least give me a booklet for me to do my own research. But none of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And I think looking back, I'm like, wow, I was so fixated on what is HCA? that I didn't realize that she was patronizing me.
Yeah. Shocking is I speechless.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be accepted in today's, you know,
No,
like
no,
no.
absolutely not. Yeah.
Wow.
But then you wonder, it's like looking back now, till this day, you wonder in different high schools, do careers, are they helpful? Because I'm still seeing youth not knowing what to do in terms of universities. Some do, but there are some that don't know because they don't know what's out there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Even like mental health, there's so many specific role that people can do. People still don't know what's the difference between counselor,
Exactly.
psychologist, you know, psychotherapies. Like exactly like what you, there's. I understand people outside they wouldn't even know what's the difference, even let alone you know like how should I start picking out which one is my career?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I wish in the community they would do like a forum day, something, a careers day, you know, where they find, you know, people who study different, you know, careers that come together, share their story, or even have a panel. That too.
To
That'll be a massive help for the youth. A massive help.
what I hear you saying is, you know, like young people nowadays lack of accessibility into real career pathway and
Yeah, that's it.
understanding the role and responsibility and how even to get there.
Yes.
So like, thank God you were asking the lady about what she's doing.
Yeah, because I was like, I think yeah, because like I said earlier, in terms of like not me knowing what occupational therapy is, at least that lady I saw in the hospital told me exactly what occupational therapy was. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have known what occupational therapy was.
And also, you probably wouldn't even enjoy being you will love the job as helping, but probably you wouldn't even enjoy the
No,
lifestyle and all that, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you will have certain people that will tell you exactly. Ones that are passionate about their job. I think you can tell people that are passionate about their jobs. You can tell. Ones
Yes.
that just do it. The ones that
Yeah.
actually have real passion.
Can I just carry on with that? Like even I really like it. What you're saying is you personal experience racism. You know, like when you were asking about career choices immediately, that's the response from a teacher that's just unbelievable. But also you understand, you know, like from young people, there's still lack of that awareness. But tell me more about what else you've seen has been an issue, especially within, you know, like your own communities.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't say youth are forgotten. I wouldn't say that completely. I would just say that I guess it would be nice for someone to kind of talk to them instead of making assumptions. It'd be good. Even I understand sometimes youth don't want to put themselves out there. Well, that could be like anonymous survey, anonymous something, comment, what you're going through. Because we can only assume from my own lived experience. But these youth, this, especially in this generation, are going through a lot, a lot, a lot. And I don't think people in the older generation do understand as well.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's like having that safe space for youth to go to, whether it's a center, some sort of community space where they could just unwind, whether it's doing activities, being amongst their peers. Because it's been scientifically proven where if someone's around people that they trust, it's good for their mental health.
Yeah.
It's good for the mental health. So it's like that too. I think it's that lack of resource that we have as well in the community. It's like these youth don't know where to go to.
Do you have anyone at all growing up that you can go to and
When I
have
was
that?
when I was young,
Yeah, yeah.
no, I still have to
Oh,
navigate myself, basically. A lot of self navigating, yeah, a lot of those. And I guess it was because my parents, 100% my parents, like they were my go-to person growing up, but it's not the same for a lot of youth now. Everyone's quite different. But for me, it took courage for me to speak up to my parents, like, hey, I'm going through this. There are not much youth people nowadays, young youth now that have that courage to talk to their parents about what they face. So it's like my parents have sort of built that strong trust, fundamental environment growing up where I was able to speak up if I had a problem. So I think,
sounds like
yeah.
it sounds like lovely parents.
Oh no, honestly, I'm not who I am if it wasn't for my parents. Like I am the person I am today because of them. They've given me a pathway where I've looked at them, the way they communicate with each other, the way they communicate with us. And certain things I've picked up, I'm like, oh, okay, yep, this is nice, this is good, this is good. I've reinforced that within myself. And I'm like, wow, like environment, looking back, I'm like, environment does play a huge role in someone's upbringing. Because it's like, if they see love happening around their homes and being
Yeah,
heard, like I was heard as well. And I'm like, if I had that, not many youth have that same,
I hear you. Yeah,
experience.
yeah. Despite how chaotic it is, not chaotic because, like, especially in the school environments, there's still that lack of, but at least at home, you feel there's a sense of belonging
Exactly. At
and
school, I
comfort.
didn't feel that. And in media, I didn't feel that, but at home, I did. I think that's what sort of, that peace of mind.
It must give you a great insight because I trying to put myself in your shoes,
Mm.
right? Because it's like the outside world almost is not gel into what you experience at home,
Yeah,
because there's that sense of warmth and love. But when you go out there, it's this
they're
the
different.
outs
It's
yeah,
very different because you're trying to fit in. It's like these people don't know you. They see you for 6, 8 hours a day, where I live with my family's 24 hours a day. And it's like they see me, they got to know me, I got to know them. Where people in schools, it's like they don't really know you that well. So like they're very quick to judge. They're very quick to judge. It's like, yeah, it's very different. So like, yeah, I think looking back, I'm like, yep, I see exactly why a lot of youth don't verbalize what they're feeling.
yeah,
Because like,
yeah.
how do you articulate that?
And also that what you say, at least, like you have that comfort from home and
Hmm.
you're aware of not everybody would have that same comfort. Not the parents is doing anything, but probably they just don't know even how to provide some of that.
Exactly. And maybe some parents, and it comes to youth as well, it's that language barrier as well. Because sometimes, the parents might speak a certain language, and the young youth, some of them don't know their own language. They just know how to speak English. It's like that language barrier as well. I mean, I got a few opportunities where I spoke to high school students and parents. I went to a few high schools, a few in South Auckland and Mount Ross School. This is last year, I think it was, where I mainly the teachers were like, "Can you speak to the students?" I said, "I would love to, but can we please involve the parents as well? Because if we just talk to the students, it would be nice to have the parents there as well." I think one thing I struggled was that majority of the refugee parents didn't speak English. So it's like they relied on their daughter or son to translate for them. And obviously for some youth, and the first language is majority is English. And it's like when I'm talking to them, it's like how much are they actually comprehending and how much are they actually listening to what I'm and understanding what I'm saying. So it's like I could give them this beautiful presentation, for them to take home as well. But it's like, how much of that are they understanding? Well, it's like, I think that's one thing I struggled with was like, I wish there was like a translator. If it was, even if I even gave them my PowerPoint, could they translate this in their own language? You know?
True.
So that's something I was still looking back and like reflecting on.
Yes.
Speaking I've done in schools. So yeah, so I've done quite a few with high school students and their parents. I also did a few talks in masjids and mosques as well around South Auckland. Talking to the we call them ustada, which means like you know how men are considered as, we say, the sheikh, like the leaders. Mainly talking to the women's side of the women leaders in South Auckland and telling them, what you can do in terms of helping the youth, what activities you can do. Because coming from an occupational therapy background, there were some knowledges I had in terms of helping youth, because I used to work with youth in my community, in the community setting, sorry, where you can do activities like obviously coloring. There's a lot of therapeutic activities that you can do to help with the youth. It's not always about lecturing them, yelling at them. There are other things to getting to know people. So yeah, it was nice to kind of share my work experience with the community as well. And it was nice that some youth came up to me and be like, hey, what do you do? What do you actually do? Like, what? And I was like, well, my job varies. It depends on what sector you're in. If you're in the inpatient sector, you help with patients who are you rehabilitating them or getting them back to their, strong self. Or in the community, you see them in their own home, and you're trying to help them also regain their strength and get back to their new routine. So as well, so it's like every setting's quite different. That's just not for me.
And I like the fact is you like to see the people getting back on their feet, like not just when they actually needed a treatment. And that is what rewards you the most, is like
Absolutely.
helping that individual to get back to their life.
Yeah, and get back to the routine, because people forget. It's like they're very fixated. Like if they get an injury, they're very fixated in terms of, oh, I can't do this. But it's like, okay, but what can you do? I get you can't do this, but you can't use your left hand. Okay, but you can use your right hand. So it's like sort of problem solving with the clients.
Wow.
It's like, that's why I love like that, what I do as a job, because like you've got this different lens in terms of helping people, and you're sort of like reinforcing positive reinforcement.
Wow. That's very rewarding.
That's so rewarding. And like this current job I'm in, it's exactly what I think I've been finding for a very long time. But I think I
Awesome.
found my place in terms of like, yep, I'm gonna stay here.
I want to go back to about, like going to school and talk to the student and parents. What exactly the school witnessed that make them feel like they need someone like yourself to come and talk to the students and parents?
I guess I was told to do this from a youth leader, which we both know who it is. So they came up to me and said, hey, Fahima, there is a lot of students, especially particularly in Ross School and South Auckland, who are always fighting. And I guess it's because I don't think teachers understand that these students are not just misbehaving for nothing. There's a reason why they're misbehaving. Is it because they're not being heard? Are they lashing out because they feel like certain people are being picked on and because they had enough? It's just like, I think teachers have to realize that, have you sat down with the students? Have you actually talked to them? Or are you just bringing someone in the community for them to deal with? They're probably thinking, oh, someone in the community can deal with them. It's like, no, yes, we can come in and provide that support, but internally, the support should be there in the first place. And I think they thought, hey, let's bring someone in the community who could, has this, who's got a career already, that could be a good role model, a good mentor, which I feel like, okay, that's good. I could definitely come in, I could definitely help. But then when I step back, what help is being continued? That was my worry.
I agree with you completely, because again, is that, like the schools not really able to and even have the capacity to help someone when they are not in that dominance culture. That is sad.
It's
Like,
very sad, yeah.
because
Are they
there's
thinking? Yeah, sorry. Are they thinking it's a community problem? Is that what they think? That's my initial thought. Is that what they're thinking? It's a community problem. They'll figure it out. They come from a refugee background, so they will solve this problem. That's like, yes, you can lean on us in terms of support and resources, but what are you doing internally within the school to help the student?
and also young people are so sensitive, like when they're
Very.
not being seen, they knew. when they not being appreciated, they knew. When they being marginalized, they knew. They just don't know how to articulate it. It's all
Exactly.
bottling out inside.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, when you see a student lashing out, oh, they're a bad student. They're instantly judged, but they don't know the background to it. Like, is there a reason why? You know, that's why I feel like even school counselors are important. Like, I guess my question is, what are they doing in schools? You know, I can't.
Are they
Yeah,
competent enough to deal with and
like
understand?
exactly. Yeah, refugee background student.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why you're being like asked to do like a presentations and role modeling and
Yeah,
inspiring. But that's a lot. That's a big ask, to be honest.
that's a big ask. Yeah, it's like, yes, I could come in, I can present, but as soon I guess I've always said this to myself. Like my fear has always been, okay, I leave. You know, what support is out there for that student? Because I could be that face, yes, but it's like I'm not gonna always be there. You know, so it's like there should be an internal resource or internal plan for refugee youth within schools. Doesn't matter what country they're from. It could be from, you know, Iran. It could be from Afghanistan. It could be from Africa. It could be from wherever. There should be some sort of help within the schools for students.
I agree. Yeah, and it shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction as well.
Yeah,
It should from a get-go, like it's not treating everybody the same because that is not right approach as well. Is to find a way to acknowledge, some of the culture nuances that young children from refugee background might need to navigate and give them the
exactly.
tool and information and language
Yep.
to
And
able to.
yeah, and sometimes, sorry to cut you off, sometimes some of them can't articulate words. You know, you're absolutely right. Could they write? Give them something else to do to articulate their thoughts.
Or art. Like
Or
what
art,
you say.
exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be words.
No, it could be pictures. You know, pictures do speak 1,000 words. So I think it'd be amazing if they had occupational therapists in every school, honestly,
Oh, that's so true. That's so
because
true, isn't
we
it?
have a way of like navigating people's thoughts in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah.
allowing them to express themselves, whether it's through art, whether it's through cooking, whether it's through sports. You know, because you find their passion. When youth find their passion, that's brilliant.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
And I think like what you say early, because nursing is such a deficit model, is always fixing something broken, like
exactly. Not the person.
not a person.
Not the person.
Yeah.
It's like the diagnosis, the condition they're focusing on. It's like, hey, the person's there in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, they forget about this actually still a person that actually have a life need to go, like something that
Exactly.
we need to carry on and
Yeah.
then yeah.
They need a quality of life. You know, that's what they
Yes.
need. Yeah. Yeah.
And when we met, you shared with me about incidents happen. And to be honest, after I hear that story, I keep kind of echoing in my mind about what it says about New Zealand society. How can we do better? And would you like to share that?
Sure. I guess this is probably the first time I'm sharing it publicly, so it's okay. So this was in 2018. It was literally my first day of work. I applied a new role in the community. And then I was crossing the street. I looked left, I looked right, no cars whatsoever. And then I stood on the mediator, the middle part of the road. I was standing there, and then I took 1 foot forward. There was someone behind me as well. I could see the lights were green. That car that came, I think it came out of the house. And then it was speeding because I instantly noticed that the lights were turning orange and red. So I took 1 step forward. A car hit me in my right side of the body, and then I sort of like flipped quickly and then landed on my hands and knees. But the part of my body hit the side of the mirror of the car. Thankfully, I feel like if it was the front, I would have flew because it was speeding very fast. I think it was trying to get through the lights. So as soon as I landed on my hands and knees, I could hear just small echo voices going, "Stop, stop, don't get up. We've called the ambulance, we've called the police. We've written down the number plate. Stop, stop, stop." That's all I could hear. But I was in so much shock. All I could think about, I kid you not, looking back, laughing. It wasn't a laughing matter in the moment, but looking back now, all I was thinking about was, I don't want to be late to work. It's my first day. I'm looking at my watch. I'm not even focused on being hurt. I'm looking at, hey, I need to get to work. So what did I do? I picked up the side of the mirror. I got up. I walked towards the building where I was meant to be to work, climbed the stairs. I was in so much shock, I didn't realize what my clothes were looking like until I saw my manager. She looked at me. She looked at the side of the mirror. She looked at me. She was absolutely confused. And then she looked up and down because she saw how much blood was in my within my pants, work pants. And then she said, "What happened?" And I said, "I got hit by a car." And she said, "Why didn't you just stay there?" And I said, "I don't want to be late to work." And she looked at me going, "You are not okay." She's like, "Let's get you downstairs. We've got like a clinic station downstairs where the nurses are, and then we'll get you checked up, and then we'll call the ambulance, and if we need to." Then it eventually ended up calling the ambulance anyway, just to sort of check there's no broken bones or anything. They took me to the hospital. They did X-ray everything. I was fine. But mind you, behind the scene, they were sort of interviewing. They found the person. They found the person that dropped the job off. And then I was discharged from the hospital. This happened like on a Monday. And then the doctor was saying, just take a week off. You'll be fine. Take a week off. Rest. What did I do? I did not follow the recommendation. I went back to work the next day on Tuesday. And then I get a phone call from the police saying, we found the person. Would you like to meet with them? I said yes. And they said, please bring a support person, because they'll bring a support person too. And I said, great. When they were meeting, they said, we'll meet Wednesday, lunchtime, around 12:30, because you're currently working. Do you understand? So I was like, great, brilliant. We're working. Just send me the address. The address was about 5 minutes from my work. So I told my manager, she said, yep, go ahead. I go to the meeting. My parents are with me. When I sat down, when I walked into the room, I'm not gonna lie, the room felt heavy. It felt heavy. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say to her. I don't know what she's going to say to me. I've never seen her before. So she sat with her husband. There was me, my mum and dad, and then there was someone from the court. I can't remember who they were, but they were just sitting there taking notes down. I started talking first. My only question for her was, why didn't she stop? That was my question for her. Everything else I didn't care about. I just cared about, why didn't you stop? Because it could have been elderly, it could have been a child, it could have been a pregnant lady, it could have been anyone. Why didn't you stop? You could hit a tree, for all I know. Could have at least stopped and checked, you know? When I started talking, she instantly started crying. And these were tears that were very genuine. I can tell just looking at her face, I could see that she hasn't been sleeping properly. Let's just say that. And I can see how much it affected her. My initial anger I had walking into that door switched to sympathy. I was more and concerned for her emotions more than mine. And I said to her, look, listen, you can see me now. I'm fine. I'm good. You don't have to worry about that. Because she was worrying about, oh, is this person in a wheelchair? Is this person hurt? She was so worried about my overall health. I said, look, I'm fine. All I want to know is, why didn't you stop? Her words were, I'm so sorry. I was in a rush to an appointment. I don't know what I hit. I just was in a rush. And mind you, she was wearing a hearing aid. So she was also, I think she's also deaf as well. And obviously I've got two sisters who are deaf as well. So I instantly felt that sympathy towards her. And then she said, I'm so sorry. I tried to sort of stop, but I couldn't. I was in that moment, I just panicked. Yeah. And I just drove off. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Well, it's fine for me. Obviously it's not fine, but for me in that moment, I was like, it's okay. And then the end of the conversation happened when the court person, Fahima, do you want to press any charges? I said, no, I don't want to press any charges. She's already gone through a lot. And then even by looking at her, I can tell she's not worried about me. She's going through a lot personally.
Yeah.
Just by the tone of her voice and her saying, I'm so sorry. And I was like, you're probably not in the right mindset for even driving in that moment.
True.
If you're in that mindset of whatever you went through that morning, you should not have been behind wheels. I'm sorry. So the end of the conversation happened, and then we hugged it out. And then I said to her, she said, please give me your contact details. If there's anything you need, do let me know. For me, when it comes to people asking me if there's anything you need, I just smile off and just nod in the head because I don't expect anything. There's always been in my nature. I'm just like, if someone always tells me, there's anything you need, do let me know. I'm just like, thank you, but I'm good. But yeah, we ended up hugging each other and we walked off. And then my mom and my dad looked at me like, we've raised an amazing woman. And I can tell my dad was like, yeah, he was like, if that was in your shoe, I probably would have done the same thing. Because Islamically, my faith teaches us to be kind to people. Because you don't know what someone's going through. You have no idea what someone's going through. Like, in that moment when she drove off and that state of mind, I don't know what she went through before that, So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to not make her life any more difficult. She's probably going through a lot. I forgot about myself, and I was so fixated on sort of helping her emotions. Well, even the judge was also crying. She was like, wow, like that was, I've probably never come across this before where someone actually forgave someone that easily. And I was like, oh, look, it could have been worse. But I said to her, leaving that room, I said to her, listen, next time, hopefully this doesn't happen, but stop. Just stop and check. Because it could be a person, it could be an elderly, it could be a child. Just stop.
I say, but yeah, I don't even know.
The fact that you're listening, Ivan, that's all that matters. Keep showing
No,
emotion.
it's like what you say, like you forgave her instantly. And
Yeah.
that sure, what a big heart you have. Not many people able to, and you're not even holding grudges.
No, yeah.
The most ridiculous thing is ask her to do that again next time.
I said it. I think I held myself. I was like, see, me have to word this in a way that it doesn't happen again. I was like, listen, just remember, stop. Just stop. Like you should just stop when you heard, no, not just heard, but like, when you felt something was off, just stop.
Yeah. And I think it's so beautiful. I also want to highlight the things that when you were hit by the car, you still get out and go to work. That's where I want to highlight this because people probably don't understand that's what equity means. Like, because, it's not so easy when people presented themselves not as what dominance culture sees, means that employment opportunity will be harder and you have much more higher threshold and hurdle have to jump through. And so for you, that's why other people will just say, just call and say this happened to me. And because I'm assuming, like, because it's hard to come by opportunity as such. And that's why you don't want to let it go.
Exactly. And I think it's that strength within me as well. Because I remember I said this word, you don't like it. Remember that word I said to you when I saw you? Resilient.
Yes.
You were
Yeah.
like, don't use that word. You hate that word.
I hate that word because it didn't speak the volumes of the experience ones have to gone through to be resilient. It almost like you just landed resilience like, hell no. You went through so much and crawl out from there. That's why you're resilient.
No, I get what you mean by that. It's more of like strength. I think I was trying to say strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the word I was trying to say. Because I think when it's like looking back now, I'm like, wow, like I was, first of all, it could have been worse. Second of all, if it happened to somebody else, I wonder how that would have been. Like if she didn't hit me, if it was somebody else, where would have she be ended up?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like just reflecting back on it.
But I'm glad that you're okay. That's the main thing.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I was honestly, I think maybe it's that, being the oldest girl, that nature in me, like caring others first before me. I've always had that in me, like taking care of people before me.
I sense that from you as well, even just by talking to you. That's why it made me tear out. It's like that came out so strongly.
I guess the most important thing is everyone's journey in life is obviously different. What I went through, it definitely defined who I am now. Honestly, I think reflecting back, because life can be so busy that I think looking back, I'm like, I should have given myself more grace. I honestly should have given myself more grace because I could, I could write a book about my life in terms of what I've been through. And so I think because in that moment when I got hit by a car, looking back now, I'm like, I'm not surprised at my reflection in terms of the way I acted. It's because before that, I've been through a lot more. Wow. And it made me stronger. It's like God made me know that I'm going to be okay. Like I'm in a place now where I think as you get older as well, you look like, okay, I'm very content. I'm very content with, what I've been through in life. And I'm forever grateful because I feel like what I went through, I'm not looking at it in a bad experience. I'm looking at it as a learning lesson, something that I sort of can reflect on and look back. It's made me stronger.
Okay, one last question. I'm crying.
Making you even more upset. I'm so sorry.
No, I'll say I think it's beautiful. I just genuine wisdom, and I know, and the faith you have for God. I think it's just so beautiful, and I think it's so important sometimes to have faith, and that's something that I'm still learning. So that's why it touches me. And don't worry about me being crybaby. Last questions. If you can go back to a point in your life to say something back to yourself, when you were little, what would you say?
Oh, I love that question. I would say that everything is going to be okay, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's this pain that you're currently experiencing is temporarily. It's not forever. Yeah.
Thank you, Fahima. I just want to say, to be honest, I don't think people can truly understand, like the journey you've been through. And from that, you still come out so strong and wise and wisdom. And your parents should be very, very proud.
Thank you.
And thank you. And thank you spending your time with me. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you for taking your time to even allow me to be part of your podcast. So I do appreciate you, Ivan. I think we know the person who was in the middle of us of meeting each other. So I want to thank her as well. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it's definitely been an honor
Yeah.
being part of this.